I have been sitting on this video for a little bit because I want to talk about my travels, because I feel like I want to kind of make my channel a little bit travel orientated because I feel like it's needed a niche. So I've like compiled a list of questions mostly about solo traveling, because before I went solo traveling I had like different things from other people. So I've had like a list of questions, many questions. I think we should just get on with it. Let's get cracking. Okay, what was the biggest realization traveling brought you? I think the biggest realization for me is that there isn't just one way to live your life. I also obviously already knew that. Experiencing those other ways of life, it's like a whole other realization in itself. Traveling solo really opened my eyes to that in the span of 4 weeks whilst I was there. Because obviously like I experienced multiple different ways of life and I kind of had to adapt to them, especially as a solo traveler, because obviously there wasn't someone there from home to make things feel familiar or even at times comfortable. It was actually really eye-opening for me because it kind of made me realize I don't have to sit in this bubble that I've lived in my whole life. And I obviously don't mean in the sense of isolation, because as I said, I'm a very sociable person. I've kind of lived the same life for most of my life, but it also kind of made me realize I have the autonomy to build a life wherever I want or however I want. So yes, that is probably the biggest takeaway I got from that trip, which is also why I wanted to put this first, because I feel like this is one of the most important questions of the entire video. I feel like this one is also another very important question. How did you handle nerves traveling alone? So as I said, this was my first trip abroad, full stop. So yes, of course there were nerves. Like before I left, I had like a proper heart-to-heart with my friend, just about all the usual, you'll be fine, I'm so proud of you, which we love that. But obviously it's okay to admit that it is a big experience. It's quite intimidating. Like if you're not nervous, I mean fantastic, but like also really, I actually cried at the Melbourne airport. My mom was dropping me off and I was so panicked. I was like, oh god, I can't do this. Had a little sob, walked through the gates, that was fine. Don't think I actually felt nervous ever again in the trip, like at all. So I guess the question was, how do you handle them? For me, I didn't handle them. They just kind of, my nerves adapted to the environment and I think I just relaxed instantly. Like I don't think it is a scary experience once you get there. Like it's fun, you're traveling the world, it's exciting. But initial nerves, just gotta push yourself through it and you will get there. Did you experience loneliness? This question made me actually have to think, because not in the general sense of loneliness. I was actually pretty social for most of my trip, whether it was meeting up with people I already knew, going on dates, making friends with people I met on the trip, or going to like group activities where I met people. But I think the idea that my loved ones were so far away and on a whole different time zone, it did affect me a little bit. A lot. It kind of made it quite tricky because obviously only certain times of the day we could actually communicate. So if I had like a quiet moment in my day where I wasn't socializing on my trip, it was intense at times. Like I really had to sit with myself a bit, which we will get into in further questions, because the sitting with yourself, very important part of solo travel, very important. Next question is, how do you meet people as a solo traveler? That actually led really well into this question. There are so many ways to meet people as a solo traveler. Maybe through hostels, tour groups, even like events you go to. Me personally though, I will be completely honest, most of my socialization was from dating apps. I know that's not everyone's thing, but what can I say? I love a free drink. I actually already knew someone in Ireland. I had actually met them before when he came and visited Melbourne, so kind of had like a full circle moment with that, which was, I found that insane, at 2 different hemispheres, like 2 different countries, and we met multiple times now. Bit of a role reversal. Then in Galway I did a pub crawl, I met people through that. In Milos there were a couple of girls living below me in the hotel from Melbourne, so we had a night out together, they were lovely. Also, I did a boat tour in Milos and I met some people from there, also from Melbourne. But truthfully, in travel, even people in groups are all looking for some level of connection. So I would not stress like at all about meeting people as a solo traveler. Probably the easiest thing you'll do as a solo traveler is meet people. Any romantic encounters? Yes, there were definitely a few romantic encounters. This is probably the segment where I spill a little bit of tea. I went on a couple little pub dates with a couple guys in Ireland mostly. I've had a drink, have a yap, have a little bit of a dance. Sometimes that's what the night ended, sometimes. I also went on a date with another Irish guy in Malta. Absolutely lovely guy. We had some drinks. But like, I know how surprising that sounds, but given my track record, that is not surprising. Like, your girl has a type and it's a nationality. Greece was a little bit quieter romantically, aside for like on the night out. The European men really love to come up to you and buy you a drink. Honestly though, I loved dating while traveling. So much fun. If you are a single traveler, experience that shit. Like, so glad that I was single for this trip, like so glad. Was there ever a moment you wanted to go home earlier in the trip? God no, fuck no, absolutely not. Never felt even like remotely homesick. However, coming home to Melbourne, now I'm like homesick for Europe. Favorite moments from your trip? Ooh. Honestly, I think my favorite moments from the trip weren't exactly like landmarks or the events that I went on. It was mostly like just the moments where I would just stop and think, oh my god, I'm actually doing this. Like, oh my god, I'm actually here. Just, I had a lot of those moments just randomly. Like one time I was on a bus and it happened. I was like, oh, I'm in Ireland. What the fuck? I'm here, I'm doing this. Like, what do you mean? I'm like literally taking off something from my bucket list right now. But I know that's probably not the answer you're looking for, so I'll give you the actual highlights. Ireland in general, especially Dublin, just like my main highlight. Like, I have never felt so at home in a place. It never felt like a holiday there. Like, I just felt like I lived there. I genuinely, like, I feel like it was just my personality in a place. The boat tour in Milos, also a highlight. That was incredible. That was like, I almost didn't do that. I was gonna do one in Malta, but I just kept getting too hot. I just couldn't do it. However, I did one in Milos because the girls below me kind of suggested to do it. I was like, that was so much fun. Like, just getting to swim in those places, incredible. One of those moments where like every 5 minutes I was like, oh my god, I'm actually here. And I also just, while I was swimming around, I was playing make-believe with myself in my head that I was a mermaid. Yes, I was playing make-believe as a grown 26-year-old woman swimming. It was fun. Like, you're in that kind of water. We're going into caves. I'm no ordinary girl. I'm from the deep underworld. That's how I felt. Also, Malta's nightlife definitely deserves a mention. I was staying in Slima right next to St. Julian's, so there were places everywhere where it was just popping. You could hear fireworks every night. It was incredible. What didn't live up to your expectations? This might be a slightly controversial one, but I am going to say Athens. I didn't hate it by any means, but I just had quite a few things go wrong for me in Athens, and I think maybe it's mostly unfortunate timing that made me dislike it. Overall, that I just ran out of things to do very quickly. It was too hot, so touristy, and I know, very hypocritical for me to say that as a tourist. However, it was too much. Like, you couldn't walk. Like, they were just, especially American tourists. You guys need to be better tourists. Oh my gosh. That being said, there were definitely parts I loved. Like, I went to one of the shopping streets. I can't remember what it's called, but I found some really chic clothes. I had a lot of fun there. And obviously there was a lot of live music around, and I loved that. I thought that was really cool. I do believe everyone should visit Athens at least once if you have the opportunity to, because I do think it is beautiful and there is a lot of history and culture there. Just for me personally, I kept having mental breakdowns. Do you feel solo traveling changed you as a person? Without a doubt, yes. I built so much confidence within myself and really had to sit with myself and truly find out who I am at the core without regular life distractions or familiarity with people around me. As confronting as that sounds, and was, it's one of the biggest reasons I do recommend solo traveling. I know it sounds a little cliche. Everyone says the bullshit of like,
I really found myself solo traveling.
However, there is truth to that. I had this full-blown mental breakdown in Athens airport. And weirdly, that ended up being one of the most important moments of my trip. I walked away from it with so much clarity of what I wanted, how I feel, basically what I wanted in life, what I needed to let go of, what I needed to prioritize. Obviously coming back home shifts a little bit because reality sets in. However, it has given me this understanding of where I want to go in life. But honestly, I don't think I would have had that level of clarity if I stayed home or traveled in a group. That was the kind of clarity where I had to really sit with myself and feel uncomfortable. But quite literally, I was sitting on the airport floor, hunched over all my bags, bawling my eyes out, on the phone, sending voice notes to one of my best friends, being like, I don't know what to do. So, where next? Currently looking at doing a couple of days to a week in Cairns, which is obviously still in Australia, so it doesn't really fully count. But if we're talking abroad, well, there's some things I can't quite mention yet. However, I will mention the other places I'm definitely looking at, which are Croatia. I'd like to do more Greek islands, maybe Malta again so I can properly experience it. And don't worry guys, I will bring you with me. I love filming my travels, as I said. But yeah, they are all the questions that I have put together. So yeah, do I recommend solo traveling? Fucking hell, absolutely. I think everyone in their life, if you get the opportunity to, travel solo. That was today's video. Thank you guys again for watching. Go fucking solo travel, please. We love you guys so much. Sayonara.